Hi everyone, this video will talk through the newest round of Plugged In Communities grant funding, which is a pilot fund aimed at community transport organisations. This video will run through the application form and hopefully offer further guidance on the requirements of the fund. This video will provide further detail into what we are looking for and the information required to ensure your application is complete. Please keep in mind there is a limited amount of funding available for this project, so we may not be able to offer you grant support on this occasion. This video will cover an introduction to the Energy Saving Trust and what we do, eligibility criteria for the fund, then I'll look at a walk through the application form, looking at our scoring requirements and the information we require for each question. Then I'll go through charge point advice, and finally I'll run through some considerations if looking at hydrogen fuel cell options. So, who are we? The Energy Saving Trust is an independent organisation working to address the climate emergency. We empower millions of householders every year to make better energy choices. We support businesses with energy efficiency strategies, research, assurance and communications, enabling them to play their part in building a sustainable future. We deliver transformative energy programmes working with governments. The Plugged In Communities Grant Fund is funded by Transport Scotland, an agency of the Scottish Government. The Energy Saving Trust work with Transport Scotland to deliver a number of programmes and funding streams to support individuals and organisations in Scotland, supporting them to travel actively and move towards electric vehicles. The Plugged In Communities Fund was originally set up in 2018 to support housing associations, helping them procure zero-emission vehicles, allowing them to open up car clubs to both residents and tenants. This was then expanded in 2019 to include community car clubs. This year, we're launching a new round of pilot funding, which is aiming to support community transport operators. This is in line with the Scottish National Transport Strategy. This includes 4 key priorities which we feel are encompassed within this new round of funding. These are to reduce inequalities, take climate action, help deliver inclusive economic growth, and to improve our health and well-being. In addition, the programme also supports the phase-out of new petrol and diesel vehicles and adopting zero-emission vehicles. This helps tackle greenhouse gas emissions and improve local air quality. There is a limited amount of funding available, and hence funding will only be offered to applicants who score the highest during our application review. Here we can see a project timeline. The fund opened on the 27th of July for applications and is then open for a 6-week period until the 6th of September with a deadline at 5 p.m. Over this 6-week period, we hope that you can create a comprehensive application. If you are having any issues, we're going to be offering support sessions throughout August. Here you'll be able to book in and get one-to-one support on any issues you may be having. Once the deadline is passed, we will be announcing successful applicants in October. Now, looking at eligibility criteria, first of all, we've got organisation type. So in order to qualify for this round of funding, you must be providing a community transport service within your local area. This must be a service which offers accessible transport solutions to vulnerable and isolated people. This could include services such as Dial a Ride, Wheels to Work, health transport, group transport, which encompasses a wide range of services, community car schemes and community bus routes. Second eligibility criteria is to ensure that your fund is supporting the most vulnerable and isolated people across Scotland. In order to ensure that this is the case, we have introduced criteria which either supports particularly rural groups or deprived groups. So in order to qualify for the fund, we require that your services are delivered in either rural areas, so this has to be either a Class 5 or Class 6 on the Scottish Government Urban Rural Classification. This can be found linked on our Plugged In Communities website page and through the Scottish Government website. If you are unable to find this classification, please do get in touch. And if you are not in a rural area, the other requirement we have is that you are delivering services to communities in deprived areas. So this is a service which is reaching people in areas in the bottom 20% of the Scottish Index of Multiple Deprivation. Once again, this is linked on our website, and if you do have any problems, please get in touch. Our third criteria is that you are prepared to install a charge point. So you have committed to applying and installing an electric vehicle charge point if your application is successful. This is obviously only applicable if you are applying for an electric vehicle. We require that you apply for this through the Energy Saving Trust. However, please note that this is a separate application that's required, so please do be prepared for this if your application, like I say, is successful. And some final requirements. We require a commitment to assist us, the Energy Saving Trust and Transport Scotland, with the distribution of surveys to the users of your service. This is to ensure we can monitor your scheme successfully. Furthermore, we require that you're a recognised community transport organisation, that you work within Scotland, and that you have a registered UK bank account. Finally, we require that this funding will not breach any new public subsidy rules. Please find further information on this within the guidance. So looking at the application form, to begin with, we have a self-assessment checklist. This sheet is there to help determine whether you're eligible for funding. Before filling out the application, please ensure you've read all of the guidance provided along with the information on the website and you're confident your organisation is suitable. As you're filling out your application form, please use the appendix in the guidance provided, as this contains further information on what is expected from each question. After filling in applicant details such as your organisation's name and address and the area of work, it will then be time to fill out project details. Please keep these answers precise. We're looking for information on what services you offer. Please only continue with this application if you're a community transport provider. This section is your opportunity to show the valuable impact your services have on your community and information about your current fleet of vehicles. If you're looking at electric options, you will require a charge point. Hence, we require confirmation that you have permission to use a suitable site. If you need advice on choosing an electric vehicle, you can contact one of our sustainable transport coordinators. They will be able to offer advice as well as a vehicle comparison report looking at your current fleet and what replacements would lead to cost and carbon savings. Again, please be as specific as possible here. If you have multiple options available to you, please list both and make it clear the number of vehicles you're requesting funding for. So next up, we have elements of the project which we will assess and score. Each question will be scored from 0, which suggests that the question is not answered at all, to 5, which suggests that it's very comprehensive and detailed. The exception to this is question 4.7, which looks at rural and deprived classifications. This will be scored out of 10. Please provide sufficient detail here about the services you provide and how they support your local community. And please ensure that all this information is factual and evidence-based. So for this first question, we're asking about target customers, benefits and marketing. What we really want to know in this question is who your services support, so we can estimate the impact of the funding we may offer you. Here, we would ask that you describe any plans that you've made to ensure that the vehicle is well used, and this includes any marketing planned. So the next question is looking at the environmental benefits of the project. We really want to know the environmental impact of your project, so please indicate the mileage of the vehicle you're applying for. How many miles will it drive? Please specify whether this is a weekly, monthly or yearly figure. If it is a replacement vehicle, please tell us the make, model and age of the vehicle that you're planning on replacing. This will allow us to calculate the carbon impact. The next question is addressing sustainability of the vehicle. We want to ensure that these vehicles will be used long term and for as many miles as possible. Therefore, we want all applicants to consider how they will ensure they are really making the most of each vehicle, including getting drivers confident and any onboard requirements. Again, if you've got any set plans in place for this, please detail them here. This question asks how the fund will improve access to sustainable transport within your area. Will this vehicle offer any wider sustainable transport benefits? Does your service reduce people's reliance on private cars and taxis? Does it connect people to other sustainable modes of travel, such as cycling, walking, or other public transport? Please be as detailed as possible here. This question asks, what are the long-term benefits to having this zero-emission vehicle within your fleet? How much money will it save your organisation and your customers? Does it provide a societal benefit? For example, will your customers spend money within the local economy? Do your services provide valuable health services? And what are the longer term benefits of this? For example, are there a reduction in hospital admissions or improvements in customer health? Please provide as much detail as possible here. Finally, are there any benefits that are specific to your local community that EST would have not considered? If applying for an electric vehicle, we require that you're prepared to have adequate charging infrastructure in place. This means charge points. You can find a list of approved charge point installers on our website. We recommend that you speak with at least 3 installers to ensure value for money. When discussing with installers, they'll be able to further inform you the suitable charging solutions available at your location. This will generally be a 7 kilowatt or 22 kilowatt unit, but like I say, the installers will be able to further explain what's possible at your site. Further questions to consider are where will this unit be installed and how will this unit be accessed? This question asks, can the project demonstrate that community transport service will benefit those living in areas of high deprivation, those facing inequalities, and/or those living in rural locations within Scotland? This question will be scored out of 10. Up to 5 points will be awarded based on the urban-rural classification. We will consider the proportion of routes and services supporting Class 5 or Class 6 locations. Again, up to 5 further points will be awarded based on the Scottish Index of Multiple Deprivation. We will consider the proportion of routes within the 20 most deprived area decile. Please provide postcode lists of all routes this vehicle will take or support. Please do not cherry-pick routes. This will be considered inaccurate information and could cause the Energy Saving Trust to reject your application entirely. Please also ensure that only postcodes are provided. We do not want customer information. If you only have a list of streets, please take some time to compile a list of all the postcodes that make up those streets. Your postcode list can be provided in a separate Excel document alongside your application form. You do not have to list these within the box. This next section looks at monitoring and evaluation. As an applicant, you must be willing to support the Energy Saving Trust in monitoring and evaluation of your funded project if this is successful. Please therefore consider how you will keep adequate records to support us in this. We'll be looking for as much detail as possible. This could include miles driven in your zero-emission vehicle, number of passengers, any customer or staff feedback provided, and promotional activities. In these sections, the more detail provided will offer us a better insight into your organisation's plans. So that is the end of the scoring section. For the rest of the application form, we have a finance section. Again, please provide as much detail as possible here. If you have multiple options available to you, please list both and make it clear the number of vehicles you are requesting funding for. Once you have completed this section, please read the declaration, check over your documents, and then sign the form. As mentioned earlier, our deadline for this round of funding is the 6th of September at 5 p.m. A little more information on charging advice. ChargePoint funding is offered separately to support the uptake of your electric vehicle. Information can be found on the Business ChargePoint funding webpage. This offers information on installer requirements as well as the improved installers available near to you. We require that you use an Energy Saving Trust approved installer to install your ChargePoint. We recommend that you prepare for this element of the funding alongside your application. You will not need to apply unless you are successful. If you are successful, we recommend that you apply for a ChargePoint funding as soon as possible. This is to ensure your project is able to succeed. Please note that there are limited amounts of funding for ChargePoints within the financial year, so applying early is favourable. Although less common, we understand that some organisations may consider hydrogen fuel cell technology when replacing fleet. If you are considering applying for a hydrogen fuel cell vehicle, please ensure that you've considered the following before applying. Are you 20 kilometres from a refuelling station? If so, have you received permission to use the refuelling station as required? Furthermore, how is the hydrogen sourced? Is this green hydrogen? We would require this information to ensure it's environmentally viable. Furthermore, are the fuel costs viable for your organisation? Please ensure all these questions have been suitably answered before going forward. Hydrogen is still a developing technology, so we require that you are prepared to run this vehicle and can prove its viability. Hopefully this video has provided some additional details and supported you in filling out your application form. If you have any further questions, please get in touch at pluggedinhouseholds@est.org.uk. Thanks!